What's up, coaches? Coach McCray here again. Doing another video. This time is more on the offensive line play. Been working with the offensive line for about 20 years now, so I wanted to give some high school coaches some opportunities to understand different ways to manipulate your O-line splits to maximize your run concepts. Now, I know that a lot of people have seen, back in the day, if you played offensive line, your offensive coach, you always want to keep those guys about between 2 and 3 feet. And you remember the offensive line coach walking his tiptoes between like a tiptoe line and trying to get the guys at a certain space. Well, I found out over years that it might be best, that we manipulate the line split so we can have good opportunities to run the ball, but also to put our players in good position. So today, I'm going to give you a little bit about more about my why doing that, and then also I'm going to talk about how I look at line splits in terms of a whole offensive line and a tight end, and I'll show you how I manipulate those splits to work with the zone and some of the gap schemes that you do see in high school and football. All right. So my why again, the run game is really critical in terms of the offensive line play, obviously, and manipulating line splits give you a couple good benefits. Number one is better blocking angles, double teams, back blocks, those kind of things are much better when you have better, closer line splits, or sometimes even wider. So it really puts in a good situation. Also opens the holes for running backs, gives out running backs more time to be patient, get them opportunities to hit holes and make guys miss, and hopefully score touchdowns for your team. And then lastly is it also protects you can protect your offensive line or your running back by with linebacker scrapes and then run fits by manipulating those line holes. You can really put you in good position. And then finally, last thing as an O line overall, I feel like you get better communication with your linemen. Okay, I know that a lot of linemen talk about I want communication up front, but most guys already know where they're going to in their zone, in their gap schemes, and things like that. So they don't really have to communicate where you have this nonverbal communication could be in with your line splits and letting guys know exactly how far they're away from each other and putting guys in better positions so you can make plays as you go forward. So this is how I think about the line splits from here. Okay, so here we have basically we have a tight end down I pro formation, and how I usually think about line splits. If this is the center, I would split this down the middle, and again, you're usually between 2 to 3 feet, depending on what kind of scheme you have. If you're scheme you have your spread, your under center, or your wing tee, you have something to that nature. Nobody's really uptight unless you're doing like some kind of double wing kind of thing, and that's something a little bit different. Okay, so how I think about an offensive line is basically if I go 2.5 feet here and I go 2.5 feet here, I add those together to make 5 feet for the short side of the line or the guard and tackle. Okay, so anyway, I split up those inches and those feet are is still in the same ballpark. It's just like I said, it just puts you in a better situation so you can get those guys blocked. And then the other side, which you have the tight end down, I'm going to look at it as 7.5 feet. So everybody's 2.5 feet away from each other. How I move that and how I displace that is up to the choice of where the guys are blocked at and at what kind of run play I'm working. So those put you in a really good position so you can make plays. And again, this doesn't work for, just want to let you know, this does not work as much well for college teams because, again, there's so many guys watching film for college teams. You got the O-line coach, you got the system O-line coach, you got the quality control guy and this and that. So again, they're going to pick up on those splits and where you're running the ball to and the play is much better. But in high school, it's beginner level football. So, and guys are still learning the game. So putting in the line split's a different thing. You're still going to have a good opportunity to put your guys in a better position as you move forward throughout the season. So let me show you some of the different ideas and ideologies behind this. Okay, so here's a forefront. So forefront against the zone. So we're going front side zone here. Okay, so usually you get a 5 technique here. You're going to get a one shade or a 2 eye and a 30 backer. Okay, so what I did for line splits is I went 1.5 here and I went 3.5 here. Okay, and the reason is because that gives me 5, also number one. And number two is I know the tackle is going to be on the 5 technique regardless. So I just have to make sure that he walls him out and he does not cross my face. Okay. Now I have a double team between the center and the guard. Even if it's a two eye, it's going to be the same thing anyways. You're going to get a double team. Okay. So what I want to do is with this tight split here, now that helps the center who has to snap the ball and get a hand on the block and get and go up to the next level with the guard. Now he has a better chance to make that happen because there's no real space for them to run through. And then the guard and him can work up to the backer that's here. Okay. So now when the backer, even when the backer tries to fill the gap is much bigger. So now the running back can make a cut inside, or he can cut outside of that as well. Okay. Now, if you have a blitz on, you're still in a good position for a blitz as well. Okay, so again, we have the lineman one shade here, a two eye. This guy keeps up the blitz. We still can block him out, and now the center can block him out, and he has a better chance of making the block because now he has a tight split here. So the charge of that nose tackle is not going to be as heavy as before, because of the tight split that you have between those guys. So make sure. So again, this puts you in a really good situation by having these types of line splits. Now let's look at the backside. Okay, the backside. Okay, so we're going zone right here. So again, you're going to have that shaded nose of that two eye. You have a three technique with a 20 backer and a five technique out here. So again, same situation. I'm going to go 1.5 here, and I'm going to go 3.5 here. So again, I know that the center is going to be working with the backside guard here, so he's going to be out of the play. Now, if you look at this one, this backside cutoff combo block here, I call it a hump block because I'm trying to hump the leg of the tackle. Is going to hump the leg of the guard. Okay. I'm going to step my inside foot and I'm going to get up to this backer here. So this ends up becoming a wash. Okay. A wash kind of combo block. So now with the 1.5 feet, now the tackle has a better chance to get his right foot behind that guard's foot. And he has a better chance to get this guy upfield and get movement on this guy instead of totally washing this down. Now, the thing is also too is now with the tight look, now the defensive end now becomes that makes him think about things. Okay, now we got a tight look here, so maybe he's thinking this counter coming to him. Maybe he thinks it's some kind of buck sweep play, so that might loosen him up, or maybe him might declare a little earlier on his charge when he's coming down the line of scrimmage, so the quarterback can pull it, or he might even light up wider because of the technique here. So again, by manipulating your line splits, you really put yourself in the same situation. Same thing if he blitzes, this linebacker blitzes, this all becomes a down block anyways, and now you have an opportunity to make something happen with the running back as well. All right. So now, what if you have a 3-3-5 three front? Okay, like a 3-4. Okay, same thing with a 3-4. You got the nose, you got the here, the backer, and you got the nose here. So what I do is, again, I'm going to go 1.5, 1.5, 3.5 to 4, and I go 3.5 to 4 on the outside. Okay, and the reason is I got my tackles are going to be on islands, and these three are going to block these three in the middle. Now, if they send a guy off the edge in the zone left, okay, I have some guys sending this guy, and then they have the tackle take the outside guy. This guy goes here, and then you combo up and have this guy go here. It's up to you. I usually take care of that with my RPO game, and so if anybody tries to crash, getting it, tell the quarterback get that ball out of there. Okay, but again, if you have a normal situation here, okay, you have a normal situation. All right, now if you go zone left, the tackle is going to be man on this defensive end, so he has to step inside. So the only people that really have issue is the nose and the guards here. So the tight splits now, if this nose tries to slant either way, now it's such a tight split, so it's going to be very hard for him to get that penetration that they're looking for in the 3-4 defense and get this block. So you have the double team here and get up to this backer, and this guy rolls through this way. Now, again, if you have any type of blitzes, okay, if you say you have this I've seen this a lot, the cross blitz. He comes this way, he comes the other way, this guy chooses a gap. Now, if you have these cross blitzes, it's gonna be a mute point because you have such tight splits in here that they're gonna have to really get wide as they can to make it happen. So again, your running back gets to hide behind those three guys and really help them get movement and then pop it out wherever that action is. So again, I think it really puts you in a good position. Now, backside, same thing. So I put you out wider because if this guy slants in, you're going to take him anyways. Okay, so and then even if he's off the if even if nobody's out here and everybody's covered and they're playing man defense, you're still going to take this guy anyways. Okay, so I usually just have him play wide and get this guy out of here so he doesn't get back into the play, and then I can go from that way. Now, if you're a player coach that likes to have this set happen, okay, and I like to have my tackles to continue on and go to this backer here, that's fine. Okay, because 9 times out of 10, this guy, as soon as he sees zone, he's not stepping up. He's flowing and then he's scraping inside. So what happens is the tackle still has a good read to block that down and be able to get an ear hole shot on that linebacker here. So again, you're still in a good situation to make a good play on that. All right. So again, another one. If what if you have a 3-3-5 look? Again, they like to show up in everything. Okay, so again, 3-3-5, and you run in zone, and we're going zone left. Okay, 1.5, 3.5, 1.5, 3.5. I can't run my 3.5 anymore. Okay, so again, these two are gonna. So my if we go zone left, I'm gonna be responsible for this stack here. Okay, so again, my stack is basically I got double here to this backer. All right, so again, with the tight split, there's no reason really there's going to be no penetration. Okay, and then I could be able to get off on this block. Inside, same thing. So again, I got a tight split here. I'm gonna block here, and then get up to this backer. Now, if this backer tries to shoot this A gap here, the center can now come off. Now it's zone left, so now the running back is gonna have gonna be able to see that blitz coming there and potentially make a cut back here and cut right in here because you have such a wide split on this right hand side. So this linebacker that has to make the play here, it's going to be tough. Okay, he's going to have to hit it at like 2 yards, and hopefully he can make a miss, and then he might be out the door. So on the backside, again, we got most dangerous man here. So again, he's stepping inside and he's climbing up to wherever it happens here. And there's a huge hole now on the backside. But if this guy cuts in the wrong side and cuts backside, now you have a huge hole in the front side. And all you have to do is the center just has to make sure that he stays in front of the nose here. So it really puts you in a good situation for that as well. Okay. Now, what about a gap scheme? Okay. So again, we got the normal good old gap scheme here, like counter or bug or whatever against a forefront. So again, I'm going to put a 4-3 up here. It's the center, three technique, shade. Okay. I'm going to put a mic here, put a defensive end in here. Okay. So again, if you have a bug counter or whatever, it's fine. So what I like to do is I go 1.5 here, 1.5 to 2, 1.5 here, and I go 4 here. Okay, to get close I can to 7.5. Okay, maybe even a 4.5 if I wanted to. Okay, if I can get a half, that'd be great. Okay, and here backside, I'm just normal, 2.5. Okay, and the reason why I'm normal backside is because now the center has a shaded nose, so all I'm doing is blocking back on that shaded nose here. Now the tight split here, I'm going to get the double team by the tackle and the guard, and again, what you're going to get is here's what I'm talking about scraping. Okay, so again, if you're going to the mic here, that's fine. I'm going to go to the mic. This mic is not going to be able to shoot into the A gap as easily now because of the fact there's the tight split. So now he's going to have to flow and he's going to have to come over the top, which brings over to the tackle. Now, if you're one of those people, you're one of those line coaches that like to cover everything, which I am. I usually have this guy go all the way to the backside backer. Okay, so he'll go here to the backside backer, and I'd have the tight end go to the mic. Okay, if you're like that, that's as well too, because he's got a flow and he's going to try to hit the A gap right here. Okay, so he tries to hit the A gap right here. I have somebody coming off and picking him up immediately. Now with this with the small gap here, it's going to be hard for that guy to fit through the gap even if we don't take him. So again, now you're taking care of all the scrapes that the linebackers possibly do to take away the play that you like. Now putting this out, now you go to the tight end side, putting them out wide. Now you got the tight end going to the Mike, or you're going down to the Sam linebacker here, and the same thing. Now you got them really wide. So now if he even if he crashes really hard, now we have a chance, so we can still kick this guy out and we can wrap through. Even if he tries to crash it, he comes down real hard and tries to dent that, which is I see some of the defensive linemen do these days, and defensive end is dented. Okay, you still are in good position for that tackle to roll through. Okay, so either way works. Going to the Mike or going here with the wide look. Now, if they all set up in blitzes, that's fine. You still got down blocks. You get down blocks, and it's pretty easy to make the adjustment going forward. Okay, so again, what is another way? So what if we go backside here? Okay, this is important. Okay, if we go backside, all right, and we have the center here, so we get a three technique, we get a one, we get a five against our 3-4 defense. It even could be a seven, it doesn't matter. So what I'll do if I have that is I have a one and a one and a half, one and a half, 3 to 4 here. I got 2.5 here, and I'm gonna go normal 2.5 to three here, 3.5 here. Okay, and the reason is because now is the center has to block back on the three technique. So and usually if a guard is 6 feet or more, maybe less, you're going to have 2 feet between the legs. So you're asking if you got a 2.5 feet split plus two more, you got 4.5 feet that you want a center to block back on a three technique. Almost impossible. That's why they don't run it in the college level, because of the fact is these 240-pound guys running the 4.9s are going to beat that. Okay. So again, you gotta, when you tighten down your split, now all of a sudden this is 2 feet becomes less than a yard for that center to go back while snapping the ball, and puts him in a good situation to make it happen. Tight split right here, same situation. Now that you got that shaded nose, and now you got a good double team block. Now the Mike cannot hit that A gap like he did before. He has to scrape over, and then he has to come here. So now the block by that tackle becomes much easier for him. He doesn't just continue to climb. Now the same thing here is this. Now if this linebacker here sees it, he's going to try to hit the A gap, but again, there's going to be no place for him to go because of the tight splits inside, and now you still have the same thing. Now the 3 to 4 makes that gap wider as well. So now the defensive end, if he even crashes, you still have an opportunity to bring that tackle through to get up on this backer. He doesn't have to like fold it over as he does it. So again, moving the line splits really help you in a lot of these situations. And then finally, okay, what about the forefront? Okay, if you have a gap scheme, okay, and you're trying to run spread and you're trying to run your counter out of that. So again, you're going to see if you have the back on the right, you have a tight end here, counter this way, you're going to have a three technique guard, and you have the good old 4-2, and you have the end. Okay, so again, 1.5, 3 to 4, 1.5, 3 to 4. So again, now you're gonna between 3 and 4. So now you have the good feet spacing. Same situation here. So again, this guy's got to block back. He's gonna block back better at 3 than he is gonna be at 4.5 feet away. So it's easier block back. Then you have the block here, okay, of the nose. And now all of a sudden there is no space for this linebacker that's in the 20 position to flow and hit that A gap, because these are tight splits here. He's gonna have to flow over the top, which makes it easier for the tackle to block him. Okay, or if you're one of those people that leave him alone and maybe you RPO read it or something like that, you're going to have this guy block this guy, and he's still in a good the front side linebacker, and he's still in a good position. So, and then with the wide split, you got the guard pulling, and he's kicking out. Even if he gets tight here, he's still going to have a good opportunity for the tackle to wrap through and get through, even though because it's such a wide area for him to crash on. Okay, so again, gaps in the gap scheme, it works great with having a tight split, tight and wide splits. Okay. Now in the three front, same situation. Now the only difference what I do is in the three front, again, is if we get a 3-4, okay, and I'm pulling somebody in 3-4, okay. So again, I'm gonna be wide at 4 here, 1.5, 1.5, and 3 to 4 here. Okay. And the reason is if I'm pulling both guard and tackle, all right, in this situation, what I'm going to have is I'm going to have a double team here between these guys and this guy to this. Okay. And then I'm going to wrap through and I'm going to hit here right there. And this guy's going to wrap through for the other one. So again, the wide split. And again, like I said, you can hit him right here and then this guy comes there. Okay. The wide split will put you in a situation of where even if the end crashes underneath or really tight and then he crashes, then we still have a good chance of even still kicking him out, and then the run and the tackle being able to wrap inside instead of wrapping around the action there. Okay, all right. Okay. And so again, guys, this is a little different situations that you could possibly see in terms of manipulating your line splits in the run game concept. Coach McCray here giving you some information. Hopefully, this will help you, offensive line coaches, as you prepare for this upcoming season. And like I said, you have any questions, concerns, please reach out and more than happy to help. And hopefully, you have a good season as you go forward. Thank you.